Assalamu alaikum everyone. So before we moved from Iowa to Medina, we were seriously considering moving our family to the UAE. So we were essentially trying to decide between the UAE and Medina. So I left my family and I traveled to the UAE for about 2 weeks just to get a feel of things. So I even looked at neighborhoods, apartments, and in different states such as like Ajman, Sharqa, Dubai, Al. However, in the end we decided that the UAE was not for us. So in this video we're going to mention a few main reasons why we chose Medina over the UAE.
So one of the main reasons why we chose Medina over the UAE is because of the proximity to Mecca and being able to drive 4 hours away just to make Umrah anytime we wanted. Umrah can be part of your lifestyle here, whereas if we lived in the UAE, it is a plane ticket away. It is pretty short compared to traveling internationally, but it's still a plane ticket away. And traveling with kids in a plane is just not as easy as getting in our own car and driving 4 hours away to make Umrah anytime we wanted. As you guys seen before, we used to just leave in the middle of the night, go make Umrah, come back the same day. We wouldn't have that luxury if we lived in the UAE. So this was a really big deciding factor for us.
All right guys, so another big factor is the cost of living. Huge difference guys from Medina versus the UAE. I mean, Dubai is the most expensive, and then it gets cheaper as you go farther away from Dubai. So Dubai was the most expensive, and then Sharqa was less expensive, and then Ajman was even less. But then if you go out further, like Al or Ras Al Khaimah, definitely less expensive. But living in Dubai, rent was so expensive just because you're living in Dubai. And
it's kind of like living in New York City. You're going to pay for a smaller amount of stuff for a lot more.
Exactly. Everything you guys can think of is going to be expensive over there compared to like Medina. The food, the restaurants, the cars, the housing, especially the housing. But when you look at Medina, I feel like it's housing, especially housing, it's been like at a manageable price. So like in Medina, if you're on a budget, if you're a family on a budget, you can definitely get by, mashallah, as you guys have seen in our previous videos about like grocery shopping and grocery hauls. We've done a video where we've spent $50 and mashallah we got a bunch of fruits and veggies and groceries for our house.
So another reason why we chose Medina over the UAE is just because of the culture in Medina kind of aligned with us more than the UAE. While there are a lot of conservative parts of the UAE, the farther you get out from Dubai, just the experiences there just made us choose Medina over it, because Suhail was telling me how when he was staying at his friend's house in Dubai, there were like other people in the apartments with like dogs in the house and things like that. So these are things we wanted to like kind of get away from in the West. And so when we decided we wanted to move and give our kids like a better Islamic environment, we were like, okay, why not choose Medina? The UAE is a really good option coming from the West, of course, but it didn't really align with how like the conservative lifestyle that we wanted for us and for our kids. So that's why we were kind of just between both, but we decided in the end that like Medina has a lot more deen and a lot more like of the culture that aligns with our beliefs. And going based off like the culture, the UAE has a lot more expats, non-Muslim expats than Medina. Obviously, Medina is all Muslims here, so that was a really big deciding factor for us too. You can't really say that about any other place in the world besides like, Mecca and Medina. Those are like places where it's just Muslims and deen is like prioritized over everything. While the UAE again is a good option if you want to get out of the West and still kind of have like the modern facilities and lifestyle that you had.
It feels like Jeddah.
Yeah, and the culture there just didn't really align with like our family. Here it's very slow paced, very family friendly. You can do things like at your own pace and time, and everybody's kind of just in their own little world here. Whereas like the UAE is just like very competitive, very fast paced, very dunya oriented.
All right guys, the last reason why we chose Medina over the UAE is قول الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم المدينة خير لهم لو كانوا يعلمون. Mashallah, we've spoken about Medina, the blessings of living in Medina and the virtues in other videos. You guys should check them out. But mashallah, there's nothing like living in Medina. And in the UAE, when I was there, I didn't really feel that Islam was a priority over there. Here, when Adhan goes off, you see everyone just walking towards the masjid. Shops close. But like over there in the UAE, sometimes it was hard for me to walk to a masjid because it was like kind of far. I needed a car. So and then not everyone goes and prays in the masjid, so that's like a big difference. And mashallah, being next to the Masjid Nabawi, we gave up a lot, from the West. And even, although, the UAE, there's a lot of opportunities, visa opportunities, sponsorship opportunities.
It's just easier to live there as an expat.
Right. Much easier to adapt there because, you're going from the West into like a watered down Western world, where it's like easy to adapt. You have all the brands, all the brand names, all the malls.
Technologies, the
technology.
things to do.
Exactly. But like here, although there's less things to do, and it's very hard to adapt. Not everyone can live in Medina. I've known people that just couldn't live in Medina, just couldn't adapt. But subhanAllah, it is a blessing. We feel blessed that Allah has allowed us to adapt and love, this beautiful city.
So we know a lot of people are actually making hijrah to the UAE, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Any hijrah, for the sake of Allah, is beautiful, and the UAE has a lot of really positive things. And it's better to get out of the West and go to the UAE if that's your only option. But because we did have a chance to move to Medina, of course we chose that over anything else.
All right, everyone. So we will see you guys in the next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.